All right, this is number 13 from chapter 21 from your textbook. We're doing a two proportion confidence interval here. So pause the video for a moment, read the setup here. All right, so we are asked to do a 95% confidence interval for the difference between the proportions of men and women that have arthritis. So we have two groups, men and women. First thing we're always going to do is define our variable. Write this out. This is a necessary step. Let P represent the proportion of Americans aged 65 and older that suffer from some form of arthritis. Notice we didn't mention our groups here. The groups are men and women. They don't get mentioned here. Our population is all seniors, and success is have arthritis. It has nothing to do with the groups. We're given our X's and our N's for each group. To find our p-hats, we divide p-hat, the sample success rate is always X over N. So we find the p-hats first, and whoever has the higher p-hat gets to be group 1. So the women, 50% of the sampled women have arthritis, 40% of the sampled men have arthritis. So women are number 1 at having arthritis. Then we use our graphing calculator to do the confidence interval. We're going to do stat over to tests, and we're looking for 2 prop interval. So we see here number 6 says 2 prop tests. We're not there yet. That's a 2 proportion hypothesis test. We're doing an interval. So we want our button to say interval. So we see number 9, 2 sample interval. That's not what we want. We want something that says 2 prop interval. So we keep scrolling. There it is, B, 2 prop interval. We go in there. Look, it's asking for exactly the same stuff I just found. All my X's and N's. We have to make sure we get the X's and N's in the right place. So for women, X1 was 535. N1, 1062. And then for the men, X2 was 411. And N2 was 1012. And we were asked to do a 95% confidence interval. There. We hit calculate. And we're done. Notice it also gives us our p-hats, even though we had already found those on our own. All right, here's our confidence interval. So we write that down. Now we have to interpret that confidence interval. And the confidence interval is always how much higher group 1 is than group 2 in terms of whatever you called success. So here's our sentence. We're 95% confident that women are better than men by this amount. We're 95% confident the proportion of women who have arthritis is between 5 and 14% higher than the proportion of men. It's what our confidence interval is always going to look like. How much higher group 1 is than group 2. Then there's this follow-up question. Does this suggest that arthritis is more likely to afflict women than men? Yes, because both of our numbers are positive. If we had a negative and a positive, then we couldn't say who was better. Maybe men win, maybe women win. If we have 2 negatives in our interval, then we picked the wrong group 1. And then for fun, the question doesn't ask for it, but let's find the margin of error. The margin of error is always high minus low over 2. So it's about a 4% margin of error. Notice here the sample suggests that 50% of women and 40% of men suffer from arthritis, senior men and women. So that's a sample difference of about 10%. The women are about 10% higher than men, but that's just a sample. We need to leave some wiggle room there. So this interval is about 10% plus or minus about 4%.